I stumbled upon this article from a few years ago that inspired me to take a closer look at the main characters within the Final Fantasy franchise and evaluate them based on their style. So let's get into that. This is going to be a loose ranking from least favorite to most favorite, not just based on my personal taste. Here's a little bit of additional criteria. Really looking for that main character energy and looking for that strong differentiation that allows these characters to contribute something unique to the franchise and the series. This is more of a casual video, so I'm not doing a fashion history deep dive. I'm not doing a lore deep dive. I'm just going to go based on the vibes, based on the essence, and based on the fashion style principles. So buckle up for that. Kicking this off with Ace from Final Fantasy Type 0, literally as straightforward as you can get. It just really looks like a kind of typical uniform, like whether a school uniform or just like official uniform. It's really not giving anything too extravagant or special. There are some slight alternative looks available to him, but I mean, overall, we definitely get better. But I do like this character's abilities where he uses like magic infused cards. Kind of reminds me of Gambit, kind of reminds me of Twisted Fate from League of Legends. So that's about the best part for me. Then we have Luneth from Final Fantasy III, and this outfit, I think by design, is intended to be a bit plain and kind of a blank slate. This is a freelancer default depiction. And I know that in Final Fantasy in general, these characters can take on jobs that transform their aesthetics into the archetype style designs for those given jobs. And I mean, that's a cute flex in range and style, but as far as this default is concerned, it's pretty straightforward and not as extravagant, bold, really giving that strong main character energy like a lot of the rest of the characters give. But I think it's also a very practical outfit, easily translates to something that people could wear in the real world, and I'm really liking the knee-high boots. I think the best, with just a little bit of accessory to make it not completely boring. Then we have Ramza, who's representing for Final Fantasy Tactics. And I mean, this outfit is very much that, like, I keep saying it, Renaissance Three Musketeers without like the fantastical accessories and hats, but it's a better build than the previous characters because I'm loving the thigh-high boots in this case. And the tunic is just so colorful and pops really nicely against the majority of like a brownish neutral outfit. And I believe even in Dissidia that this character gets a compliment for being able to coordinate really well with his companions. So I just think that it's really the pop of color saving the look and making it stand out a little bit, but I wouldn't say iconic. Then we have Lann and Reynn from World of Final Fantasy, and I like these because they're a little bit more that modern contemporary style that I like, flexes into something a little bit more today, not as tied to the super classical or traditional Final Fantasy aesthetic. Lann, it's really just giving like Sora in like a trench coat. Love the belted jacket, and I just think it's an overall nice framework, but I mean, we've seen it before, so they're not really, again, shaking the ground, moving and shaking, but it's a cute installment. Then we have Zack from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, and like, can't move this guy any further up. And I mean, it's just in general a cooler uniform based on the nature of the outfit than some of the looks that we've gotten, and he definitely draws some iconicism or iconicness from Cloud. I mean, Cloud wore it better, we'll get there, but I mean, it's cool, it's a nice fit. I want to kind of save my commentary for when we do get to Cloud, but I mean, he kind of gets a little bit lost in that shadow, but I mean, it just kind of is what it is, like a symptom of the circumstances. Then we have Serah from Final Fantasy 13 2, and like, love a body confident queen. Celebrate that in this house all day, every day. But I feel like her default look for Final Fantasy 13 2 just looks cheap. It's really just the outfit. She looked so much better in Final Fantasy 13. It just felt like it was still cutesy, a little bit of those body confident elements, but nothing too like pushing it. And I just think that she just, yeah, looks tacky in her default. The summoner's garb that she has looks way better, and I think would have served as a much stronger default outfit, even if there were additional little peaks of body confidence within the top of the look. And even the style and steel outfit, as body confident as that is, just feels a little bit more put together and a little bit more like Diesel brand. So something that doesn't feel completely out of the realm of like something that we could see maybe in our regular everyday. The default is absolutely taking me out, and I just feel like it almost just feels a little bit more of like her little beach swimwear. And then the white mage garb, like not really like blown away, a cute conservative look, but like not the biggest fan of white mage looks in general. And then as far as the N7 armor, like it's kind of giving superhero bodysuit Black Widow. So, I mean, there's nothing really special about it, but I don't know. I feel like if her default was just a little bit stronger and a little bit more thoughtful, it would have resonated with me so much more. I think she deserves better. Then we have Vaan, and I absolutely appreciate the extent of body confidence that we're getting from him. And I'm a huge fan of that super cropped vest. I love just anything cropped, but to the extent in which it is. Huge fan of that. Want something like that for my wardrobe. And I do also like a little bit of the detail that we're getting within his belt work and his pants. The armored elements, I could take it or leave it, but it's well balanced by just the kind of minimalist nature of the rest of the outfit. Outside of that, I'm not really getting the biggest, like, bold statement, unique, iconic look from him. He was already kind of soft and I feel like a bit passive as far as his story anyway. So that kind of also translates to a little bit of that style. What I love about Zidane or Zidane's style from Final Fantasy IX is just how playful and just more fun it is. And I feel like thief-oriented outfits can tend to lean in that direction. Just a little bit more kind of free-spirited, much more agile per the nature of how that job typically functions. And I think it's a little bit of some pirate energy. It kind of reminds me of something a little bit more Kingdom Hearts-esque, but it definitely fills within the kind of like Final Fantasy family with a little bit of its own distinction to kind of set him apart from a lot of how the other male characters look. If that came out okay. Then we have Noctis from 15, and I celebrated the men's style in this installment just based on how literally it's so contemporary and designer because of the kind of Japanese designer that did the work for the default outfits for the main cast. But in looking at the rest of the characters for this video, I can kind of see how this does deviate a little bit from the classic Final Fantasy look, though it doesn't have as much of that kind of essence or spark or special magic to it. But I love an all black ensemble. You can't go wrong with it. And he does give us some variety as far as his personal style within that installment. So I appreciate this for what it is and how it does kind of bring something new. Then we have Reynn from Brave Exvius, and at first I was a little because we're certainly getting, because he is a knight, that official general, colonel, admiral type aesthetic that we've seen plenty of times across so many different things. But I do like a little bit of the accessory and decorative elements that he has to kind of make it a little bit anew. Then looking at some of his alternative depictions or outfits or costumes, there's a full armored look that's kind of like, okay, like nothing that's really moving and shaking, kind of like the headpiece in that regard. But it was really this season 4 render that I felt like was, okay, we're really into that edgy, cool guy Final Fantasy aesthetic, and it's much more giving some of that main character energy that I'm accustomed to from these types of characters. Much prefer this depiction, and I think is what really elevated him within this kind of overall ranking. Then we have Cecil Harvey, and I think that I just discovered, and this asserted for me, that I definitely have an inclination and an affinity for paladin-oriented characters. There's just something about an armored look when it's white and fresh and has some pops of like blue, purple, or gold that just makes it feel so inviting and just so inspiring and just like uplifting and even mystical. And I feel like that's all of the energy that I'm getting from him. It looks like he started as like a Dark Knight character, which looks very kind of like armored, like we've seen something like this before, essentially. But the glow up into a paladin form, so much more fitting, so much more iconic, and loving how The typical cape and flowy elements are just a great balance to all of that armor. And there's even like an after years look that kind of follows that same structure, but just with much more scarf decoration and a different type of cape with a little bit more of that yellowish gold pop. So really just liking a little bit more of that mysticism that he's lending from a paladin archetype perspective. Then we have the OG Warrior of Light from the literal original Final Fantasy, and it's again not the biggest fan of armored looks. This is heavily so, but just with the integration of the cloth beneath the armor and just how that's draped and how it really kind of flows and contributes to a more soft silhouette in contrast to all of that armor is very majestic. That's the word I was looking for. And I once again love a kind of goldish white or cream and blue color palette. And not the biggest fan of horns either, but if we're gonna do horns, let's just go all the way. And I do prefer if they are in a gold coloring. I don't know, this just gives a lot more of that like assertive stance and presence that a main character should, and especially being amongst like one of the original characters like of all time for Final Fantasy. A lot of points for just setting the kind of standard and tone for how this overall aesthetic could look, especially from an armor perspective. All right, now we have Cloud, and I just feel like when I think of Cloud, I immediately see the outfit, know what it looks like, and just completely get it. It's straightforward, it's not overcomplicating anything, and it doesn't feel too tied to like a soldier type uniform. It does feel like something that could be reinvented for an outfit that someone could wear today. I love a little bit of that like corset belted waist action going on with a little bit of like suspender strap. It just adds so much more intrigue to the outfit, literally preventing it from being flat. We get some slight alternative outfits, especially in the remake, just to kind of see some body confidence, but also just some like easy breezy sporty look with this ocean chocobo. And I also like this other kind of like uniform that he has with the shoulder pads, knee pads, and a little bit more kind of belt and garter action. Much prefer this style. We're getting a little bit more detail. So a little flex in range, nothing truly personal style, and I think especially original for him, but he's just so iconic that gotta give points and credit where it's due. Mobius, like once again, I already recently talked about him for male body confidence in a unique way. And I just think that I would have loved to see more of this character or characters like him with this type of style. Just with the bodysuit that he has underneath the armor that gives a little bit more peak of the thigh and the waist. And I just feel like it lends something to what could be more of, or what could have been more of an iconic character. Almost kind of along those lines, but in a much more handsome, mature, and sophisticated way, we have Clive from 16, and I just love the tight form fit of his outfit between the pants and the top, and even with the top just giving just the right kind of deep cut for a peak of the chest. And I love a lot of body confidence, but I'm also a huge fan of some more simple, modest peak of the chest, and that's exactly what we're getting. Really loving the height of the armored boots that he has. It just feels like genuine, kind of almost like thigh-high boots. And we do get some slight flex in style from him with some alternative looks. Nothing that's, I think, too especially innovative or out of the box. And I kind of wish that he had a little bit more range. He's just so conducive to a lot of different styled elements. But even when we look at him when he was a teenager, he was always giving that effortlessly cool guy, just fierce, handsome style. Even kind of a little bit of leaps and bounds beyond some of the male protagonists that we've gotten from this franchise overall. So I just feel like he fills a really interesting void within the series, and curious to see if we'll continue to get more from him or just more derivatives of his type of more rugged, kind of rustic, masculine style. Tidus from 10, and huge bias points here because 10 was the first Final Fantasy game that I played. Absolutely loved it, fell in love with the characters. He kind of blends together a number of different aesthetics. We get sporty, athletic, kind of cool, laid back, easy breezy, beachy, but then we also get a little bit of that kind of darker alternative edge just with the really interesting black oak coveralls that really allow the primary colors in the rest of his outfit to pop so nicely, just to give a little bit of that spirit and energy that he has. And I love the chains, love the different short pant leg lengths, just so interesting and creative, and I think definitely innovated upon what we've gotten from male characters in this franchise up until this point. And along those lines, we have Yuna from Final Fantasy X-2. I love her variety of body confidence. Love Riku's body confidence. Riku went all the way there. And I love from a narrative standpoint how Yuna derives some inspiration and some influence from Riku, but it's well adapted in a way that does still feel true to her. She had been through so much in this storyline that I think coming through with a bold, more assertive and just free-spirited style like she has in 10-2 makes so much sense to me, and I love the cultural relevance that it has. It's so Y2K. I just love that with her design here, they let her find her way and find her slay as far as her character development, and it aligns with like the gunner style. I just love everything about this, and I've already gushed. There's a whole video I've done on 10-2. Check up on it. Then we have Squall, and you know, there's just something that is effortlessly cool guy, evergreen, timeless style with regard to a cool leather biker style, edgy boy look, and that's exactly what we're getting from him. It's just the right amount of simple with just the right amount of additional accessory details to make it interesting. There's really not much more you have to do. If it works, and you don't have to break the formula. Like I could see a Dante wearing an outfit like this in red. Like it just feels like it aligns with a certain aesthetic and male archetype that just makes sense. I do like the shorter sleeved version that he has in Kingdom Hearts. He can fit the cool darker tone stuff, but the cutesier stuff as well. He just has the flex. But can we please talk about Vincent Valentine? Don't see enough mentioning of this character. When I saw Dirge of Cerberus like ads in my younger years, I was like, whoa, who is this guy? It's giving icon of old time. That red cloak just with the shape that it gives to the upper body and how it leans into like a cape style. So cool, so much drama, movement, and boldness. And I love how it just complements his super sleek silhouette, which has armored elements, but so many belted and buckle details around the waist just for like almost a corset effect. Super snatched, and I love the color of the hardware. I mean, just so cool. Like, I just can't get over his design. Then we have Lightning, and I've already dissected the heck out of her style in Final Fantasy 13 and like Lightning Returns and all that stuff. But I like her style has grown on me. At first I was kind of like, similar to Cloud. She's actually like inspired by Cloud to an extent. And it's just really that officer, like soldier uniform that kind of feels a little bit blasé. But I like with hers how they really did soften it and make it so much more feminine. Like I've already talked enough about it, but it's grown on me. It's unique, and just the extent to which they've used her as a muse for high fashion brand collaborations and just all these different job and garb associations. Like she has the range, she's proved it. And I just love her. I just love what she's capable of doing, not only action and story wise, but just style and fashion wise. It's certified icon. Then we have Bartz. When I discovered his look just recently, I was like, where has this guy been? Where have I been to have not noticed this outfit sooner? And I've pinned down what really hit me with it. It's giving JoJo. I think just the top with the deep cut, so just with the tight silhouette, like loving it. And I love his accessories, the headband, the jewelry, the earrings, like the extra decorations around the waist and the belt work, the boots, like everything absolutely works here. It's crushing it. And I feel like if he wasn't wearing those tights, and if it was even just like a short look, it still would work for a character like him and kind of align with a little bit more of what I would like to see from body confident male fashion. So, and Terra pretty much just feels like a female version of Bartz, but honestly, she is female blueprint for Final Fantasy fashion. Like I was also blown away when I discovered her style. True to the overall kind of cultural influence and just the different aesthetics that it embodies and just a lot of that alignment, but just something that feels whimsical, but also fashion. Feels very Moschino for like women's designer high fashion runway. And I think she's also a powerful character within the game. Like she's capable of doing quite a bit. She just honestly walked and set the foundation so that Yuna could run and Lightning could strike. Like she is icon. I mean, she's mother. She's definitely giving more than I think that she's acknowledged to give. So I'm glad that I discovered her, and I would love to see, similar to Bartz, more from female characters along these lines. It's confident, it's sassy, but it's also well put together and sophisticated. I don't know, there's just something about Firion or Firion that when I come back to his design, it just feels like standard. It feels like benchmark. It feels like everything that's right about Final Fantasy to me and what I like to see. And I feel like it really has everything that a lot of the characters that have followed him kind of have. It has those armored elements. It has the body confidence. It has the cultural influence that you can kind of see through some of the garments, especially the headpiece. It has the cape. It has the decoration. It has the boots. It has everything in there. And given that I think he's from Final Fantasy II, it's giving Blueprint once again. Like, this is just setting the foundation and the ground for everything else. All right, and that was my easy breezy look at the main character style and fashion within the Final Fantasy franchise. Let me know which characters have especially resonated with you and who you think are the true icons in the series. Plenty more to dive into in this regard, just in case I missed anybody, but hope you enjoyed, and until the next video, I'll talk to you later.